Hey, what is up? What's going on, guys? Joe here, Radio 690 ADV, 690ADV.com. Thanks for stopping in. Happy Thursday. Hopefully everybody's doing pretty good today and everything is going the direction that you want it to go. Let's get into, or at least today, let's get into action cameras and the inexpensive ones that you see on Amazon, eBay. Sometimes you see them at Walmart. You see them all over the place. And let's talk about it a little bit. And what's the best action camera? Maybe you're thinking about shooting video on your trip, or you're wanting to start a moto vlog, or who knows what you want to do. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. And that's okay, because most people don't realize what goes into all these video setups and stuff that I do, and other writers and stuff that are out there. And there's a lot more to it than just hitting the little action button and going. You know, having a camera in your face sometimes gets a little weird. You know, it takes a little bit to get used to, but over time it does come into its own. But you know, the one thing that you gotta have is you gotta have cameras. I mean, that's just the way it is. And some are cheap, and they add up. They can get pretty expensive. Anyway, like I said, if you're new to this, don't forget you can subscribe to our podcast. This is a video podcast that we do every Thursday, and you can catch our Sunday podcast. And then every Friday we have the Rant and Ride, which is tomorrow. Got a good one tomorrow. Make sure you guys check that out. And then we have the Tuesday. We do tips on Tuesday, and we also talk about gear, and we talk about new bikes and all that stuff. So if you haven't subscribed, you know, hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If not, make sure you give us a thumbs up. And if you're listening in your car or on your radio or anything like that, or on your phone, you know, try to subscribe and be part of it. It really helps us out on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Podbean, man, you pick it. We're pretty much everywhere. Just look us up by Radio 690 ADV, or you can just type in 690 ADV and it'll pull us up. First off, I'd like to say thank you to KTM North Texas. They are a great supporter of the channel. They do help us out. Don't forget, if you need any parts, service, or anything like that, looking for a new bike, KTM North Texas, slmracing.com. Ask for Bert. Tell him 690 ADV sent you. That way you get a discount. Anyway, action cameras. What are the good ones? Which one works? What do you need? All the type of stuff. You know, there's so many different action cameras out there. I mean, they're everywhere. You know, you see the reviews, you see all this stuff, and I get asked all the time, what do I use? And what's great, and what resolution do I shoot at, and all these different things that I do. Action cameras can get pretty, get kind of confusing, to say the least, because action cameras, man, there's so many of them out there, you know, but the mainstream ones that you hear all the time are GoPro, DJI, then you have the kind of the knockoff brands that are out there. God, I don't even know. Just go on Amazon, type on action camera, or type in action camera, and they're everywhere. I mean, they're just everywhere. You can pick them up for, God, I've seen them as low as like $25, $30. Here's the deal. What I like to say is, you know what? The most expensive is not necessarily the best, but the cheapest can really be, you get what you pay for. You know, you can't buy a $30 camera and expect it to be as good as a GoPro. That's just not going to happen. That's just not. But the thing that you can do is, if you're willing to shop around and do the research and check into a lot of things, you can find a lot of action cameras that are inexpensive that do a really, really good job. I bought one that was like $60. I ended up giving it to a buddy of mine, and he uses it like religion, and it shoots great video. It does a great job. I don't know how it really does as far as like action, like on a motorcycle, like zipping 40, 50 miles an hour down the road. But I do know as stationary, walking around, dash cam, So it does, man, it does a fantastic job, and it shoots at 1080p. It says 4K. You got to be real careful with some of these 4K cameras that are really cheap and inexpensive. They don't. Yes, they shoot 4K. It's not very good. So, just keep that in mind. And the biggest misconception that a lot of people get with shooting video is everybody thinks, okay, I need to shoot 4K, or I need to shoot 1080p, or, I need to shoot all these things, and understanding frame rates is really, really a big deal. I would like to do a video podcast if I could get some feedback from people, that are thinking about maybe creating their own YouTube channel or just shooting video to put on YouTube, whether you want to talk or however you want to do it, hit me up, either in the comment section or shoot me an email, 690adv@gmail.com, and let me know if that's any interest of talking about frame rates, what the difference is, why you want to do certain things, editing software, what's good, what's not good. And, and I'll do my best to try to help out as much as possible. Now, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to be the misleading guy that's going to have all these things for, feeding you on to where you just come watch my stuff every time so that I can show you things just enough to where you fail and you got to come to next week. But cameras, this is my personal opinion. I get probably, a lot of people that sit there and say, man, I want to do this and I need a 4K camera. All right. Well, here's the deal. What you need, in all honesty, is HD. All right. HD is really where everything's at now. If you're shooting anything under 720 p, nobody's really going to want to watch it because it's come on, it's a high definition age. That's just the way it is. I would say 720p, you definitely need to be in HD, and then 1080p. And 4K is fantastic. Understand, the more you bump it up, the bigger the file size is. And you can only crunch that file size down so much. So if you're shooting in 4K, just be prepared. Make sure you have a super, super fast internet connection, because if you don't, it's going to take you 9 months to upload that video anywhere. So just giving you a roundabout. I'm not saying this is 100% true, but shooting, say, 1 minute in 720 high definition will render about, I don't know, 100 megabytes, 1080, it's going to be about 4 times that size. Now, when you go to 4K, it goes to almost 10 times that size. So a 10-minute 10K video that I shoot like on my Friday nights would render about somewhere between 15 and 20 gigabytes. So keep that in mind when you're looking at cameras. Really, you want something that has the capacity, if you can afford it, to shoot 4K. But in all honesty, I think where you really need to just set your standards at, if you're just getting into this stuff, 1080p at 30 frames. If it's got 60 frames and it's in your wheelhouse for money, go for it. That's definitely it. I shoot all my stuff at 60 frames. It's the picture's prettier. It looks better. It's cleaner. It's not crazy in file size, but it just looks better. And I'll explain here in just a second why 60 frames is just so much better than 30 frames. If you have a camera that shoots 720, almost every camera today will shoot 720 by 30 and definitely by 60. But some of the cameras will shoot 1080 by 30, but they won't go any higher than that. They'll only shoot 30 frames per second. Now, that's how many frames that are being notched out every single second. So if you're doing something that has high action and motion, you're missing a lot of frames. It doesn't seem like it, but you really actually are. So the more frames you can shoot, the more it picks up and the better the quality is going to be, and you're not going to miss a lot. So you'll have a lot less blurring. I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you're shooting any type of action like motorcycle, since this is a motorcycle, channel, you probably want to be closer to 60 frames per second as best you can. Here's the kicker. I can shoot 720p, 720p by 60, dump it into my editing video at 1080p by 60, up render it, and it looks better than 1080p by 30. And that's guaranteed. That's 100%. It looks better than 30 frames per second, especially if I'm doing motion and I'm riding down the road and I'm trying to pick up action and motion and things like that. So keep that in mind if you're looking for a video camera. You definitely want to be HD to shorten this up. 1080p is great. 4K is fantastic, but you want a minimum of 720, and most all of them shoot 720. But if you can't shoot at the 1080 by 60, just look at a camera that'll do 720 by 60. It's fantastic, man. It shoots. It's beautiful. It looks really, really good. It's YouTube. 90% of the people, if you know anything about YouTube and analytics, and you go and see what people are actually watching your stuff at, or if you want to know, it'll tell you 60 to 70% of the people that watch any of my videos are on their cell phone. Man, you could shoot a microscopic. It doesn't matter. It's all going to look like HD. Remember, the smaller you make it, the prettier it looks. So keep that in mind, that people, you know, you're not blowing it up on a movie screen, you know, that's just not reality. And then other people are watching on their laptops and desktops and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. And now when you're looking at cameras, give me one second. I'm going to go down. I'm going to grab two of my cameras. All right. So I have a couple of cameras that I use. A lot of people ask me what I shoot with, and I'll give you kind of the lowdown. I don't want to sit there and beat a dead horse too much, but I just, you know, this is the equipment that I use. So if you see my videos and you like my videos, this is what I'm using. I'm not trying to hide nothing. I'm not like, blah, blah, blah. I pay for all my own stuff. I'm not endorsed by Sena. I'm not endorsed by GoPro. I'm not endorsed by KTM. I get nothing from KTM nor Texas, just to let everybody know. I get zero. I don't get no kickbacks. I don't even get a baseball cap from those guys. They're good people. They take care of me, and they treat me like I've known them forever, and I've only known them for a couple of years. Every time I go in, they're just super good to me. So I give them plugs, and they will take care of you if you give the 690 ADV plug in their stores, and they'll give you a discount. And to me, that's just awesome. So getting that on the table, GoPro. This is what I shoot almost 80% of my video on, is a GoPro. You see that? GoPro 7 is already out. Just to let you know, that's a GoPro Hero 4. Why do I use a GoPro Hero 4? People are like, oh man, I figured you had all this GoPro 7 Black Series with all these cool blah, 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 blah. No, I don't. I use a GoPro Hero 4. There's a reason why I use a GoPro Hero 4. Use a GoPro Hero 4 because of this little guy right here. That is called a Sena backpack. What is it? You can read that on there. It says Bluetooth. This is a Bluetooth adapter that hooks onto the back. I'm going to put it down in the description for you guys if you're interested. But this little guy right here goes on the back of the GoPro. So what do? I just basically take it here, hooks over, snaps together, and then it has a pigtail. This pigtail goes, well, I'm trying to show it to you. There we go. Goes on just like this. And what it does is that pigtail goes between the camera and the Bluetooth. Now what that does when I turn it on, it connects to my helmet. And in my helmet, I have monitors that it uses with their software to where I can hear myself talking. So I know exactly what I'm saying. And I know if I'm too loud or if I'm too low whenever I'm doing my records, if I'm shooting, you know, a rant and ride, or if I'm just riding around and trying to spit out some information to you guys. So that's like 80% of all of my video. I'll put it down in the description if you have any interest for it. You can't beat it. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Not only that, it actually works with a microphone. I have a Bluetooth microphone. One second. I know this is kind of awkward on my thing, but I'm going to show you what I use. This is my office at my house, by the way. It's not a studio. It's not rented. This is another Sena device. You can pick this up at Sena. You can't buy it on Amazon for any cheaper. This little guy right here is a Sena microphone. this Bluetooth connects to this camera. I can set this camera up. I can walk almost 100 feet away, and it's high definition stereo audio directly to the camera. Okay. That's what a lot of my stuff, like my 2-minute tips and stuff like that, a lot of that's done on that. The other camera that I have, and I do shoot on this, I just don't shoot as much because I don't think it has as pretty a picture as the GoPro. I'm just being brutally honest, but it does do a great job. And it comes with a lot of really cool parts and stuff with it. Is the Sena Prism. It's great. It's Bluetooth. And guess what? This connects directly to my Sena headset in my helmet automatically. It's built right into the camera itself. But you can pick up this whole kit for like $250 and it's ready to go right out of the box. They have all the connectors, all the stuff. You can hook it up to your motorcycle. You can do everything. So if you're just wanting to get started, fantastic. Sena Prism. It's really awesome. It's not too expensive. Does a great job. And not only that, the only downside to the Prism is it doesn't shoot 60 frames per second at 1080p. That's it. But it does have 720 at 60. So I do shoot 720 at 60 on that camera a lot of the times. But there's times that I want it that true 1080p at 60. I go directly to my GoPro Hero4. Not only that, these GoPro Hero4s, you can usually pick them up used or refurbed. They're super cheap. I'll put some in the description if you're interested for something like this. And you can pick them up on Amazon. They're not much, like $100 and something bucks, like $150. So you can get in on the cheap. It's not going to break your piggy bank or anything like that. But if you want that Bluetooth sound and you don't want a bunch of wires going around your helmet and up and everything, and you want to move your camera to different places on your bike, that's it. That's the ticket. That's what you're going to want. So that way you can get the audio if you want to do a moto vlog. Now, my newest camera that I have, DJI. I love this thing. It's not cheap. It's about $350, just under 400, but it's a gimbal camera. And I've got a review coming up on it, and I'm going to do an in-depth one because I've been using it for a couple of months now, and I'm going to tell you all the great things about it and the things that I don't like about it. But it really is. But this is kind of a sneak peek of this camera. Yeah, gimbal. So no matter what you do, everything is smooth motion. So if you watch my 2-minute tips, a lot of it is being shot on this now. And this camera right here, down in the description, I'll put it on, because you can get it out of Amazon, and it's a smoking deal. And if you do buy something, thank you, because it does help the channel. We don't make much, but man, you know what? If you buy a little, man, we may get like $1 or $2. It helps with SD cards and stuff like that. But that DJI Osmo Pocket is fantastic. It does such a great job. So these are name brand cameras. Other than the DJI, you don't have to have the latest and the greatest to get great, fantastic footage, is what I'm getting at. In this GoPro Hero 4, guess what? It shoots 4K. So you can pick up the stuff that I just showed you right here. You can get started for under $300 if you're wanting to, get into motovlog and action cameras. Now, I'm not telling you to stay away from the cheaper cameras that are out there and the DVR systems that go on the bikes, in which we're giving one away on our Patreon only account. If you want to be a Patreon, you can get in on that. It's like a $200 basically deal. Very cool. It's neat. It has its place, but it's never going to replace an action camera because you can move them around. You can't move those around. They really got to be stationary. But action cameras, this is really the ticket. Really kind of look into the name brands. If you really want something that's going to be durable and last and it's going to stick around, remember, sometimes you just got to pay even a little bit to play. So don't sit there and try to cut down on your cost to save $1 when you could have really done a little research and listened to 690 and picked up a great camera for not much and get great footage and great audio. Anyway, action cameras. This is some of the stuff that I use. Hopefully this may help somebody out. And if you're thinking about doing motor vlogs, down in the description, I'll put everything that I have down there. Anyway, Joe, 690ADV. Don't forget, 690ADV@gmail.com. I'll help you out in any way I can. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up and let us know, what do you use or what are you thinking about? And maybe if this helps you out. And if you have any questions, don't forget, email me anytime. I appreciate you. You guys have a great Thursday. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Rant and Ride. Got a good one. Peace out. You guys have a good one. 690 out.